Hello everyone, we're going to take a look at the reporting features in V9. We've moved the report features from the measure section. There is still one report there, the old material cost. We left that in case anyone wants to still use the old version of that particular report. But all the new reports have been moved to the jeweler's bench in the new reporting section. So let's take a look at those. To get started, I'm going to just pull a sample ring out of the library under symbols, the 3-stone ring here. If you want to follow along with the same ring, you can, or try this out on one of your designs. So just import that in as normal, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the group filter by to filter by type. So that'll separate the stones and the metal, so it makes it easier to select for these reports. I'm going to go back to the jeweler's bench and take a look at the first report we have, which is material cost. So that would be my ring here. So I have that selected and click on material cost. Okay, so most of your reports will have 3 tabs. And the first tab is where you set the parameters for that particular report. The other 2 tabs are some preferences and settings that'll kind of default for most of your reports and ways to change some of the text on the screen. So let's take a look at those first. The second tab is where you can set up your header. If you don't want a header on your report, you can turn it off, of course. Your logo can be a JPEG, PNG, I believe a GIF as well. Yeah, JPEG, PNG, or GIF. And you can enter your company name, title, and website. None of these are labeled on the report, so if you want to put other information in those tabs, you can. Once you've set this once and validated a report, these will stay defaulted until you change them. So the nice thing is you don't have to set this tab up anymore. The other use for this second tab is where you can filter what you want to show actually on the report. So for certain reports, like you're doing a quote for a customer, you may not want them to see your cost or different things. So you can remove or add things from each report list from here as well. There may be some other options in this tab for specific reports. We'll come back and look at those as they come up. Like this one has a horizontal alignment option. So that's the way the text aligns inside the boxes of the report. Finally, the third tab is the text display settings, and that's what you see on the screen here. So if you want to choose a different font for what comes out here, if you want to do screenshots and things like that, as well as the size of the text, and you can change the color of the text. So if you have a bunch of different reports on the screen, you may want to have different colors. And you can also change the layout where that text is pointing. So again, if you have multiple reports going on, you may want to have your material cost in one corner and your stone cost in the other, etc. So you can move these around the box as needed. So again, those 2 tabs should be pretty much the same for every report. So let's go back to that first tab and take a look specifically at this material cost report. So of course we have our cost list. That's material cost by default. You can do other costs in here as well. So if you want to do any other type of costing that you can customize, you can do that. So other cost, hourly rate, or a cost related to length. So that would be based on the length of a curve. So something like if you're doing costing for chains or necklaces. Or maybe the length of bracelet will change the cost, something like that. You can change the names of those, of course. The orientation is also related to what you see on the screen here for the text. So you can kind of, again, change how those pointers or directions are pointing. The object list or the items we selected when we launched the tool, you can have more than one material in one report. So if you've got a 2-tone ring, you just select both of those. You can pull down this menu and add to the list, or you can pre-select like I did. Okay, now if you want to include material cost, that's of course the default or the main purpose of this report, and we enter the unit weight and the unit price. So by default, I have mine set to grams, so we're going to do per gram. So I would need to go and find out my material cost for that day because there's so many different sources that you get your materials, your golds and metals from. We found it just easier to just allow you to enter the price for that day. So I would go perhaps on Kitco, find out my cost, calculate it into grams. Google's really good for that, for conversion calculators. Once we know that today's price, I have 33.9 here from the last time I did this report. That should still be close to whatever metal is right now. Of course, that'll change day to day. So we put that in there. If you want to charge for plating, I know most people don't, but the option's there. You can do it by surface or volume. And the same thing, you turn that on and then figure out what's your cost per millimeter square for surface or per gram if you're doing it by volume and how thick you're plating. Like I said, most people don't use plating costs, but it's there if you need it. You can also add a dimensional cost. So this is based on volume. So if you know, for example, how much material for the printed wax you're using by volume per millimeter, you can enter that in there as well to figure out your cost for printing as well. And then don't forget you can add other costs based on different things by just adding them to the list, or hourly cost if you want. So once you've set all that up, again, remember the second tab, if you don't want any of that information on the report, maybe I don't need to know the unit price, I can remove that from the list. Otherwise, we hit the printer icon here. Doesn't print it, it actually generates the report. So we can see our nice header with the material cost broken down. And I also have my volume cost in there as well. The unit price, the quantity, total weight for each unit, and total price, and then grand totals at the bottom. So pretty standard. From here, you can print this report using this printer icon. That'll send it off to if you have your printer connected. If you want to save the report externally from 3Design, you hit the save icon. We support tons of different formats for your reports, so you can use this information however you like. Jasper report is a very common report type. PDF, RTF is a Word document. ODT, DocX is a newer Word type document. HTML, so if you're using this in a website, you might use HTML data. XLS for either single or multiple worksheets for Excel spreadsheets. Comma separated values if you want to take this data and put it into some other non-standard report type. XML again for web stuff, or embedded XML. So the most common ones you're going to use are PDF if you just want to print it, save it on your computer, or DocX if you want to edit them. And then you just save it to wherever location you like. Otherwise, we go ahead and close out of the report and validate it. That's going to keep this report saved in my history so I could use it again later. I'm going to go ahead and hide it so I don't have everything on the screen at one time so we can see the next report. So we're going to look at stone cost report. Stone cost report, if you click on it without selecting anything, it will detect all of your stones automatically in your project. Be careful with that, because if you've got some stones that you didn't use in your final piece, they're hidden in the tree or things like that, it's going to include those in the report. So if you want to be safer, go ahead and select your entire group of stones. And then we click on stone report. Okay. And again, your second tab, pretty much the same thing, except for we also have a chart included in this report, and you can choose what type of chart it is, vertical, horizontal, pie, or 3D pie chart. We'll take a look at the 3D pie chart. It's a nice visual chart. And then text and everything else is the same. So let's go back and look at the actual options here for stones. Again, we've already chosen the item with the stones in it, that group of elements here. You can choose how you order your list of stones if you want to go carat weight from small to large, large to small, or if you want to organize this by quantity, so the ones that you have the most of at the top of the list or at the bottom of the list, or the type, which would be based on its material. So I'll leave it on carat down, so the largest stones first. Okay, so this will remember your settings from the last time, so if you use the same cost for each stone size, it'll still remember that from the last time. So you see these are already entered. The first time you do this, though, it will be empty. You'll see a little X here on the $sign, and that just means that we haven't entered the cost yet. So what we do for each stone, it's detecting the size of the stone based on the geometric model. And as you know, stones vary a little bit. They're not always going to be perfectly calibrated stones. So the nice thing is, if you didn't change the carat weight when you built the stone and you want to go ahead and override it here, let's say that big stone, I know that I ordered a 0.41 carat actually, and it wasn't 0.43. So we can override that, and then we enter the cost for that particular stone that we're ordering, or that size stone we're ordering. So I have $200 in there. And we do the same thing for each set of stones. So I've got my 0.4 carats here, and I have those at 150, and so on down the list. Once you've added all your costs, we will go ahead and generate the report there. We have one more little option here that's kind of nice. Right here we have a go to a website. So if you get all your stones from one place and you want to easily just get to that website, it's kind of like a bookmark. If you control click first this go to website button, it'll allow you to enter the address. So you enter the website address of where you like to get your stones. So that way, if you're going in here and you're costing your stones, you can quickly click here and it'll take you to that website really quickly. It's not going to pull any information automatically. It's just a shortcut. Okay, so moving on, we're going to generate the report. And we see our report here with our breakdown of the different stones. The material will determine what type of stone it is, so diamonds are in all of these. The description will be your millimeter sizes, your carat sizes, and again, if you've overridden those, they'll be more accurate. So you'll type in the actual sizes and not what's calculated, because they're not perfect. And the prices, quantities, totals, etc. Okay, so same thing, we can print or go ahead and save this. We'll actually just cancel for now and just validate and just save it internally in the history. And I'll hide this one for now. Okay. Now the third one, quotations, is going to take your other two custom reports and allow you to add a margin for using this for quotes. So you do these two first, and if you want to use quotations, use the third one. So we'll go ahead and click on that and take a look at the options. Okay, and it does detect all of your reports automatically, so you don't have to select them from the tree. Your quote name, so this may be the name of the customer. Your markup percentage, so however much markup, I have 20% in here. I'm sure that's not enough. I'm not making enough money off this piece. Let's say we do 80%. Whatever you like to use. Any fixed cost that you want to add in there. Let's say I am including just a flat labor rate on all my projects, for example. Whatever you want to define this as, you can enter that in there. If you have any parts of your model that are cost without margin, for example, some of the stones were brought in by the customer, so you're not going to charge for those. You want to just take them away from, or not add a margin to those. Maybe you're just charging for the setting price, for example. So you can add those costs in there as well, just by excluding them from the list. Other than that, the second tab is all the same, nothing different here. Again, you may want to check your column list here, remove anything that you don't want the customer to see. If you're using this for a customer report quotation, you probably just want to show the description, maybe some comments and totals, not the actual percentages of markup. But for an internal report, you might want to have all the data. So again, you can customize these as you see fit. Otherwise, we generate the report and we see the breakdown from the other two reports into one nice list, giving me my totals with the grand total and my markup percentages, etc. here. You can see my fixed cost is added in there as well. Okay, so again, save or print that if you want to go ahead and use it separately, or we'll go ahead and validate it into our history. If you don't use the quotation, of course, undo that, and we just have our regular non-quotation reports. We'll do that for now. The next two reports are visual reports, pictures and galleries. The stone color report is a nice little report, which is going to give us mapping for helping with setting. So basically what that does, we go ahead and select that. It will detect the stones again. If you want to make sure you have just the correct stones selected, select them first. And we have an extra tab here for actual screenshots. Otherwise, the last two tabs are the same. The first one is where we'll set up our information. We are partnered with Emlo on this. Emlo is the little kits that you can buy for physically placing little stickers on your model so you know where to drill the holes for certain size stones. It's a color coding standard. I know Rio Grande, I believe, still sells it here in the US. It's popular in Europe as well. If you click that, it will go ahead and automatically color code your stones based on that color coding standard. So, nice little option if you use it. And otherwise, we look at our list is the similar list here where it lists all the stones based on how you want them sorted. And then they are all white by default, so we will go ahead and color code them. Again, if we use the MLOAD standard, it'll do that automatically. Otherwise, we pick the colors. So we pick the first stone. We can zoom in on that stone. Again, if you want to override the carat weight here, you can. We can give it a color and some striping. So with no striping, it'll be plain color. And we said, let's go to green for that one. So the reason the stripes are there is if you run out of colors, you may want to mark them with stripes as well, with a second color. If you've got hundreds of stones, you can imagine running out of different enough colors for that. I don't have very many, so I'm just going to use solid colors the rest of these. So we'll go through and set these up by clicking the color swatch for each stone set. And there we go. Okay. So the next part of this report to make this color mapping work is to go to the second tab with the little camera, and we can take screenshots. So the screenshot menu, similar to other menus you've seen in 3Design, but it has a couple of different icons. We have a take a screenshot button. It looks like a little movie clapper thing, and the import image. So if you want to bring in images from outside of the program, you can do that as well here. But for this one, we want to just do screenshots. So typically what I'll do is set up my viewport like I do for any other screenshots, and we just hit the little screenshot button, and you can give it a name. We'll call this front, and then we'll do one from the top. And it's up to you how many screenshots you want. The more complex your design is, the more shots you may need. We want to see all the stones in the different shots. So we'll do one more from angle. And then we'll generate the report. Okay, so again, what this does is it gives us a color coding map for our stones, which is going to help for setting. It also helps with manufacturing. If you send your jobs outsourced to a factory or somewhere else, you can send this with the job so that you can hold accountable the people that are doing the stones, so they can't say, oh, you didn't tell me that these are half carats on the side, etc. So you can also use it internally for yourself, so you remember where to place your stones when you go to start drilling out holes or setting the actual stones. So it gives you your color chart breakdown, so we know that all of my 0.41 carats are going to be the green ones, etc. It does give you a little chart here. You can turn that off. I find it kind of unnecessary in this report. Let me show you how to do that. Go back here to that options tab here, and we'll turn the chart type to none. And then regenerate here. So I find, the chart is kind of not necessary on this report. So we get our color code breakdown. We've got our screenshots here. So now I can sit down. When I go to set at the bench, I know exactly where all these little stones are going to go into the ring. So the more complex the ring, the more important this report will be. If you've only got a few stones or they're all the same size, of course, this won't be necessary. But we'll use it for this one. Go ahead and either print or save it, or we'll just validate it for now, because I'll show you how we can take all these reports a little bit later and gather them together. So the next report type we have is a gallery, and this is another visual just screenshot report. So we have the screenshot list where we can add screenshots, and what we'll do is go ahead and start taking our screenshots, and most people like to do that 4-view kind of standard, so I'll do one from the front, and you can rename these as you go, of course. We'll do one from the top, one from the side, and then the typical 3/4 view, and whatever shots you may need. Again, that's going to help you later with this item. So maybe I want a close-up of my setting. Okay, and then we can include other things as well. So for example, remember we have the import images. I may want to, let me find my folder here. Oops. Bear with me one second here. Passport. Let's go to videos. Okay, so what I might want to include with my report is my a copy of my rendering. And other things. So let's say this is a remount and the customer brought these stones in, and usually when you do that, most jewelers take photos just to document them so we know what came in. So you might want to import those photos in here as well. Anything visual that you want to include into your report, you can import that as well as your screenshots. So again, we'll look at the options here. There's not different tabs in this one. We have our header, which is standard, and then we have our other last option is number of images per row. So that's how many images per row of the report. So the more you put in here, the smaller your images will be. I kind of find that 2 is a nice size image. Or if you want just one picture on each row, you can put however you want. Again, it's very customizable. So we'll go ahead and generate that report. And you can see it's just a gallery of all of our different images that we brought in. So I've got my screenshots. I didn't label these, but again, you can label as you go. I've got my front, top, side, and 3/4 view, my close-up of the setting, and my rendering, and any other photos you include in there. So again, nice way to lay out your different views really quickly in a nice report with the header. Again, save or print this, or we'll just keep it for now in the history. Excuse me. And then we have one final report button. This one isn't a new report. This is the merge report. So this is going to gather up any reports that you've already generated in this file into one large report, so then you can print it all out together. So we'll go ahead and click on merge report, and you see that it found all my other reports automatically. Again, we can format the header here if we need to, if we haven't already, and then we go ahead and generate that report with the little printer icon. And we see we have this nice gathered up booklet of all of our different reports in one place. So I've got my stone cost with the breakdown of quantities, my material cost, my stone color report, and the color maps that I generated, as well as my galleries. Okay, so it's just going to gather all that information to one so you can print it as one booklet. You can reorganize this list if you want these to display in a different order. So maybe I want my gallery of the first position, so that'll show the gallery before the stone and material costs. So, okay, and it again, of course, from there, once you've generated the report, save it or print it. That's it for all our reports. There is one more report function in the reporting section. That's the technical drawing. We'll cover that in a separate video. So thanks for watching, and I hope you get some use from these reports, and definitely send some feedback. These are new to V9, so we definitely want to improve on these as needed for what you guys want to put in there.